Hey everyone, Angelo here, Hollywood filmmaker, greatest screenwriter in the history of the world, recovering homeless guy, friend of the workers. I wanted to make videos. I always say this, I'm just so busy, but been doing a lot of stuff, a lot of writing, so much damn writing. It's like addicting, and I'm constantly going through my script. I've easily rewritten this thing over 100 times, and sure, that's counting like little changes to a pass through it. I've read through it, I don't know how many, at least 20 or 30 times probably. I'm like, my God, I'll never finish writing this thing. It's truly like, what they say is you don't finish a script, you abandon it. But yeah, I've got a script and I'm working on another one that I have a draft of. I wouldn't even call it done, it's just a draft. As I do the automatic writing process, which is great. I love it. And just try and be light and loose and never stress about what I'm writing. I do sometimes, but I'm getting better at catching myself and like stopping my forehead from doing that thing, whatever, frowning, and clenching my teeth because I realize I'm tricking myself when I think if I exert more stress onto my body and like more effort, it's going to be better writing. And I realize, no, do the exact opposite. Because it feels like when I try and put a lot of effort into my screenwriting, or like not a lot of effort, but when I try and exert, literally just tense my muscles, not only I'm not like as loose creatively, but it's like I'm tricking myself into thinking, oh, I'm putting in more effort, therefore the result will be better. It won't be. But the trick is when I loosen myself, when I feel that happening, I'm like, oh, but if I'm loosening up, it's like I'm saying I don't care what happens in the story, and therefore it won't be as good. But it's like that's a trick, that's an illusion. Actually, that frees me up to let ideas come in, and they just kind of arrive. Like they come in from the side, sort of. I don't like directly like sit and think about what to write. I sort of ask a question or I just read and invite in feelings and thoughts. And I'll just ask a question like, what's the problem here? Like, why is this a problem? I'm having a problem with this scene. Sometimes it means cut the whole scene. There was one case where I did that, where I'm like, I really like the scene up to this one, the last line, because I'm like, if the last line isn't excellent and doesn't sort of turn the scene, on its head or recontextualize it, or give some new meaning to it, the scene has to go. And like I was having that problem over and over again in so many drafts of my screenplay. The scene was there. I thought it was really good up to the end. And just the last line, I couldn't figure out what to do. And I'm like, what is the problem? And then I realized, oh, delete the scene. I'm like, there you go. No problem. The story moves so much better. You don't even miss it. And sometimes it just means like cutting two lines and jumping down in the dialogue. I'm like, oh, even better. We lost all that filler that, the writer Angelo thinks you need to explain. And it's like, no, the characters don't need to explain that. Let them, their emotions, guide them and bounce off them or make them bounce off each other. So that's really good. I've just been going at it and going at it. And what's really helping me too is sending it out to other writers that I know, not like professional screenwriters, but other writers that I know, getting their feedback, seeing the broad array of perspectives I get, and knowing that people are looking at different things, but a huge amount of the input I end up acting on and changing stuff. Again, not consciously, not deliberately saying, they said this part doesn't work, so fix that part. They say that, I think about it, I read through it again, I wonder, is that a problem? What's the problem? And the vast majority of the time I realize like, oh, I don't like that something else in the story that their problem points to. And I realize like reading other people's work too, I can't say how to fix their work, but all I can do is, and I try and be very encouraging too, because I know what it's like to struggle writing, is point to a problem. And I realize just pointing to something, it's like a sonar ping where you send out that sound pulse and you let it bounce off the underwater caverns and whatever other submarines and sea creatures, and you sort of see what reflects back to you. I realize that's what I'm doing. I ask, what's the problem? What's the problem? And oftentimes I walk away from it. I'm making my lunch. I'm riding the metro or something. That's where I got one idea to fix something the other week. Was it last week? and or 2 weeks ago. And I was coming home and just this idea came to me. But it's because I was loose and trying to enjoy myself, and it has everything to do with, keeping my body right, eating well. I did not eat so well today. Went to the farmer's market, got some kind of French pastry, and then a bunch of garlic, or no, like lemon pepper pita chips with this fig yogurt. It was so good. So that's a big indulgence for me to do that. Also, like, I'm 40. Like, I don't know, it's just my body's sensitive to what I eat, and normally I eat very well. I'm struggling to bulk up. Like, I realize you have to force feed yourself to bulk. Like, getting there, a little muscle. But yeah, you got to eat when you work out. And then on top of that, I bike a lot, so I'm burning more calories that if I was just trying to bulk, or if I didn't use biking just to commute, it would make more sense to, like, it doesn't make sense to do all this aerobic activity while you're bulking, in a way. I don't think, in a way, because it's like you're burning tons of calories, so now you need to eat more, but you need to make sure your nutrition goes to your muscles recovering and growing, and not just basically aerobic activity. Although you're getting a good leg workout in there too, and back and stuff. I really want at some point a bike with sloped handlebars, because I rode one once. I test rode it, and it was super weird for me because well, so you see, it's just kind of street cruiser in speed. But it was so weird for me because you have to put all your weight on the handlebars, which means, think about, when you're turning, you just feel the turn so much differently. And for me, it felt much easier to crash, and so I was kind of scared of it. But after I rode, I was just test riding it to see if I wanted to buy it, and I couldn't figure out, why don't I like riding this way? And for one thing, it was very new, so kind of scary. It's like, again, it just it's less forgiving in a way, but you can go a lot faster, I gather, because also it was like a 16 speed. And I'm like, at some point I do want to get one. I don't really have to put a bike somewhere here. My laundry's not normally there. I'm going to iron my clothes, but I would have two bikes here and really need one. But I'd love to have a sloped handlebar bike. So anyways, what I noticed is it really worked my back in a way that it doesn't so much on my whatever level handlebar bike. So anyways, keeping my body right, because you got to be able to think clearly. So eating all those pita chips and the croissant today, not the best thing to think clearly, but I know, like, it's okay. Like, be loose. Don't punish myself for it. I'm sweating because it's hot in LA. I went to the farmer's market to get the food I got. Also got some strawberries and some apple cider vinegar. That was really nice, because I don't know what brands in stores now are good. I heard Bragg's that they were really good. They have the mother in it, so it's really healthy. That's like the protein from the apples. But, or I don't know what it's from. I guess apples. Or it's from cider. I don't know, it's cider something else, but no, it's from apple. Or it's the vinegar. But I saw a video that said this guy wouldn't sell Bragg's apple cider vinegar with mother in it anymore because an equity firm bought out Bragg's. It was a family business, and because an equity firm, their goal is to make profit. That's it, their sole goal. They're not in the business of apple cider vinegar. And to make more profit, you can manipulate all kinds of things. Another word for profit is exploitation anyways. There's a spread between what people have and what they want, and you can exploit that for profit and pay workers, and with all that you can pay workers less, dilute the quality of the ingredients, cut corners, manipulate the stocks of the company. And he said, yeah, people were complaining the quality wasn't as good, it didn't taste as good, the same. It's not like a good taste, like you drink it because it's delicious, but it didn't taste the same. The colors were different, like lighter, so it looked more diluted, I guess. And he said he wouldn't carry it anymore in his store. And so anyways, I was at the farmer's market and got this apple cider vinegar. But next to the farmer's market, massive traffic. I'm like, I feel so horrible for the people in the stands there, working the vendors, because all it takes is a 2-car collision, somebody jump the curb, and those people are going to be hit. I'm like, Heather Hutt, this is your district. You should do something about that. This was at 18th Street in La Cienega, the farmer's market. I feel so bad. And also everyone's breathing in poisonous fumes, and it's so fucking hot out right now. It's not even the worst for LA. Like it's just starting to heat up this year. At least in the city, sort of, not the valley. The valley gets hot, different. It's different weather there, but and it gets a lot fucking hotter. But I feel so bad. Like, and also they don't get as much foot traffic because the place is not desirable to walk to, and there aren't bike lanes, because the street La Cienega is so fucking massive. It's like wider than practically as wide as like 66, Route 66, or Interstate 66, back where I'm from in Virginia. And but it's a city arterial boulevard, and I'm like, you have room for a streetcar here that's quieter, that's safer, that's more financially sound, that gets people moving. And there was a guy sleeping with no shirt on the sidewalk next to all this traffic. And I'm like, there you go. That's what we do. Free roads for cars, free parking lots for cars, because we were in a parking lot there at the farmer's market where you can park for free. And who deals with the actual cost? People who don't have homes, because we don't have free shelter. And we take up all this space in cities for cars, for parking lots, for freeways, for wide streets that could service so many more people and have more housing and more community centers and farmers markets and other kind of markets. So it's really sad, and it makes me realize that nobody wants to be inconvenienced when they're driving, and so nobody is. And the key to understanding that is we give over all this surface area of our cities to cars for roads, freeways, parking lots, and we don't. As a result, we don't have, everything's built farther apart. Housing is more scarce and expensive, and a lot of the city isn't livable. And as a result, nobody has to be, like, somebody has to be inconvenienced, but nobody wants to be, and nobody is. So homeless people are nobody. They could have housing. We could have housing for everybody here. So nobody wants to be inconvenienced, and no one is. And so homeless people are just nobody. And that's a shame on us for doing that. And I know what that's like. Well, no, I don't know what sleeping on the pavement is like. I've never done that, to be clear. But I've slept in my car for 2.5 years. I was homeless. So for 2.5 years, I was nobody. And I could always find free parking, but I couldn't find housing for those 2.5 years. And that's what we do. That's a choice. But then we just look at it. We fail to interrogate all the causal forces at play in what makes someone homeless. And we just see that. And we have that immediate assessment in our brains where the neural pathways are set to fire, to judge them, to look down on them, maybe to feel sorry for them, and to think, well, how do they affect me? A lot of people just think, I don't like homeless people. And so that's how I should determine what political policy should be in place. Oh, a homeless person made me uncomfortable, or even yelled at me or assaulted me, and therefore I can't tell the difference between one homeless person and another. And also, there's nothing to interrogate or examine about how we created homelessness as a policy in this country. And we could end it. And there are countries that treat housing way differently and way better to make for much more livable communities. But let's not wait for the Heather Hutts of the world. And she's been good on some stuff, but also I've heard she's pretty bad on some transit issues too. And it was weird. Her mailers that came out, I mean, she basically ran unopposed as far as being a transportation candidate. She ran against Grace Yu, who somebody told me it's like Grace Yu's basically a Republican, which I did not know. I saw her this one interview she did where I was like, it sounds like she's for transit, but Heather Hutt's pretty bad in a lot of ways too. And I thought it was so strange. Her mailers came out, and I got her mailers here, and it said in the mailers like how much like this was sponsored by Boeing. Something. I'm like, you're a city council candidate. Why are you sponsored by this weapons manufacturer and airplane manufacturer or whatever who's cutting all these corners and getting people killed? Why are you even accepting their money? And I've heard of more shenanigans than that, as far as she's like trying to obstruct this one park by like literally creating a park that's one parking spot to block access to this park that people want opened up. So anyways, yeah, calling out Heather Hutt, or council member, but we shouldn't be relying on them or waiting for elected leaders to act. We should be the ones taking to the streets and saying, well, I'm going to go support transit. I'm going to ride a bus or ride the metro, or ride a bike or walk. Do something to create a people-friendly city. And when enough people do that, elected leaders will have no choice but to go, oh, people aren't driving. People actually want to be able to be outside and see each other. And it's going to be hard for them because the car lobby is going to pressure and push them and probably make it illegal to bike and walk or do things that severely curb it, license biking. But we should be the ones acting on this to make the city more livable. And also, we need good propaganda for it. Because the car industry has tons of propaganda. Literally, these ideas need to be propagated. We need movies about urbanism. Believe me, I'm writing them. We need commercials for metro and bus. I'm serious, but billboards for buses and metro, because a lot of times you don't even know where the bus stops are or the metro stop is in a neighborhood. And the bus stop signage is 99% terrible in LA. You can be across the intersection, which is so massive, and not be sure which side of the street you should be on to catch the bus, because there's not necessarily any readable sign from a massive, like, 6-lane road. You have to wait several lights to be able to cross. There's not necessarily a bench, so you can't at least just go by, okay, well, where's the bench? So I know where the bus comes. And we could change all that. We have huge billboards in LA. LA is a very billboard city. And car dealerships and other businesses have huge frontage where you can see where they are, but not the bus and metro. We need to change that. And I know you may think, well, there's all kinds of laws and regulations on what the signs for the bus stop should be and all, etc. Yeah, let's change them. Let's demand it. Let's be the ones that change. Let's make the city better. Karen Bass is gutting funding for safe streets, repaving, for people-friendly streets, and that's going to put us severely behind on making the 2028 Olympics car-free Olympics. People from around the world are going to be coming here for the Olympics, and if you think traffic's bad now, it's going to be a disaster in 3 years when the Olympics come. And shame on her, absolute shame on her, just constantly pumping up the police budget. So if you want free housing in LA, you can get it in jail. You want free transportation, you can get it in the back of a police car. You want free food, you can get it again in jail. And healthcare, which although that's very iffy with medical neglect there, and you get subject to all kinds of abuse too and disease, and a lot of people die in jail here. But so you can get all that in a dungeon. That can really mess up your life. But Karen Bass will not make it a priority to stop getting people killed in car crashes, to make sidewalks walkable, because we're not going to have sidewalk repairs, which we barely have them now. We're not going to have bike lanes, bus lanes. We're going to have so many problems. We're not going to have enough metro service, bus service. The metro system is not going to be built out well enough. So we're going to have all these massive problems, and Karen Bass is actively working against it, directing the city against, like LA Department of Transportation and other departments, against properly funding safe, healthy streets. And meanwhile, increasing the police budget. And by the way, so much of the city, like we have a huge budget shortfall, like $1 billion. So much of that is settlements the city pays out for things like police violence and killings, and for unsafe street conditions, lights out on the streets, etc. A car crashes, kills someone, and the city pays out because it's easier to do that than actually fix the streets. And that tells you that there is not a political cost to pay for getting people killed in car crashes, but there would be a political cost for cutting police funding, and that dictates Mayor Karen Bass's agenda, and that dictates so much of the city's agenda here. Although a lot of the city council here are really good. Nithya Raman, she's especially great, I think. far as pushing for housing, for transit. Nithya Raman, check her out. She ran like a progressive who she was. I don't know, like what her involvement with politics was before. I gather she was an activist and worked somehow, and I don't know exactly, but something you'd think along the lines of, I forget if she was a lawyer or what, but something where it was clear she had, lived experience and credentials and all. But she also founded or runs whatever SELAH, SELAH, which helps get people housed, and she runs or that organization volunteers and does outreach and helps get a lot of homeless people housed. It's like we need more of that massively. And people are so brainwashed by propaganda that says, oh, money's just going to go to waste if we spend it on homeless people, so we can't do it. And yes, LA does waste a ton of money in their homeless services, spending it on managers, and it's unaccounted for. That's reason to get it accounted for. But there are chauvinists who just think it's an excuse to basically just get people killed through living on the street. It's horrible. It's senseless. It's so stupid. And we can do so much better. So anyways, also, it's so damn hot. My mom is doing really well. So just want to let you all know I'm talking to her. We'll see when she can visit. We're trying. Also, who knows what happens with a movie. I don't expect to make a movie anytime soon. I really want to, though. But if I can make my movies, a lot of them I'm writing to be shot, that they're settings that I can shoot in Virginia, where I'm from. And I want it to look like Virginia. And I don't want it to look like LA. For a lot of it depends. I mean, I've got more movies coming that I'm writing. But it'd be good to go back there and shoot, even though I don't like being in Virginia. It's kind of depressing. But also, Virginia is great, or Northern Virginia at least, is great for biking. Bike lanes, lots of parks, stuff I couldn't appreciate when I was there because I just drove pretty much everywhere. I would literally drive around the block to the grocery store at like midnight sometimes. And I never thought just get a bike, Angelo. Like I would still probably have had to keep my car, but I could get a bike and save all the times I drove back and forth to my mom's house. I could have just biked, even though even then it wasn't, didn't have the safest ways of getting around, but they're improving. And also the metro there, although eventually I did come around to using the metro more when it was a pain to drive into DC. And that's how people should understand, make decisions based on whether like they have options for public transportation. La Cienega here, so noisy, so hostile, so unpleasant, and such a waste, such a massive waste of space that has space for bike lanes, streetcars, housing, community centers, all that stuff. That would be amazing. That would make it a metropolis. So get on it, Heather Hutt. Make the political cost from inaction in saving people's lives and making the city livable, not the political cost comes from not giving the police more money. So, but anyways, yeah, my mom's doing really well. I'm rereading this book that I love, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Read it before, going through the whole Carla trilogy again, as it's called. It's the first one, although The Spy Who Came In From the Cold is a precursor to this. And I do want to reread that. That would be the third time I read it. And then I'm going to go through the next one's The Honorable Schoolboy. And I've been slouching this whole video. And Smiley's People. God, my thumb hurts from holding the phone. You see the indentation on my... No, you can't see it. So, yeah, trying to do well and keep loose. That's the important thing from... Important thing for my writing is be loose. Don't stress, because I do get anxious and eager. Like if I'm away from my computer, I'm like, I gotta be home. I gotta be writing. And it's like, Angelo, relax. And also, it doesn't have to be something so time consuming. And also, it's funny, sending out the latest draft of my script to some friends to read. I was like, Angelo, you have to accept that the script is not the final product either. There are going to be actors that come in that may suggest certain changes, not even directly by speaking suggestions to me, but through their performances and the way they carry themselves and just who they are, it may suggest certain changes to me, and that's a good thing. And so it's like, Angelo, like, know when it's time to go to that step, because the script is not there as like a book for publication. It's there to adapt into a film. So, and what do they call? I can't remember the word. Action figures, of course. There's got to be an action figure line, and ceramic mugs and McDonald's Happy Meals. No, and actually, that's another thing about car-oriented cities. Too much fast food, crappy jobs. With them, people are stressed. They don't have time. They got to commute from one part of the city to another because everything's spread out because all our space is dedicated to cars. So you can't live where you work. And housing's expensive, cars are expensive, jobs don't pay enough, and as a result, people are stressed and their dopamine receptors, fire on fast food, and we're poisoning ourselves, and not just our bodies, our minds, with thinking this is normal, and this is anything different from this, that would be like unacceptable, because you're like, you see things every day, you think, well, this is how things are, this is how they should be, and therefore, if you create some different piece of data over here, like here's how things are, here's how things could be, you think, well, that's not right because that's not how things are, so I need to close that gap between how you're saying things can be and how things are. And instead of closing that gap by going to how things can be so much better, what so many of you are conducive or amenable to do is close that gap by arguing away and closing off the possibility that things can be better and moving back to how things are. So many people have that reflexive, chauvinistic argument of, well, cities were made for cars. That's not true at all. Cities were around before cars. Streets were around before cars. Cities were destroyed for cars. And we continue destroying our cities for cars. LA is expanding freeways, going to destroy a lot of homes. And we've got to put a stop to this. We've got a climate catastrophe. I will say, with the tariff situation and cars not being more expensive, that's going to hurt a lot of people. So that's not good, because for a lot of the country, they don't even have metro systems, and buses might come once every hour and they don't connect the whole region. So even less than once an hour. So it's going to hurt people to not be able to have cars. But there is a silver lining in that it has the potential, I will say, to reform us and change us and make us realize we can create cities better and we can get around better. So here in LA, at least, you have options for public transportation, and we have the option of creating more people-friendly streets. So if cars get more expensive, in a way they should, but the problem is we don't have enough alternatives. Even though in LA, we have alternatives, but that's all. It's like we have them, but we need them to be so much better. We need to pay bus drivers more to hire more of them. We need streetcars instead of bus rapid transit. We need more metro. We need more dense communities, more dense land use. We need wealthy white homeowners to stop putting up obstacles to building all this, because they think they have the law should be able to protect the value of their homes. That's so weird. Something I didn't learn until I was older. I don't know how old. I'm not saying didn't learn it till my 30s, but that people that they just want the law to be able to keep them rich in their neighborhood. I'm like, I thought the law was to stop you from more or less from being hurt, from being ripped off, scammed, etc. But they're like, no. I just want to be rich, and the law should make me rich. And to do that, people have to sleep on the street. So if nobody wants to be inconvenienced, nobody is. And that's who homeless people are. Nobody. That's who I was for 2.5 years. And we should thank them for their service, because they're the ones, they're the people, the other people that, we don't want this to happen to us or our kids, but they're the someone else and the someone else's kids that have to give up, where they live for our convenience. So we should thank them, and we should just do better and not make people homeless. Anyways, I've ranted on so long here. So, be a good urbanist, read some books, eat well. Don't just eat a whole bunch of pita chips with fig yogurt like I did today. And you can eat it once, but I'll do that once in a while and I'm good. So anyways, I gotta iron my clothes. Thanks for watching, everybody. Bye.